Okay, so let's look at rounds now.
Volume 27 on November 30th, 1929, rounds. I was beginning my round in the divine will according to my usual way, and wanting to reorder all created intelligences in order with God, from the first to the last man that will come to earth. I was saying, I place my I love you upon each thought of creature, so that in each thought I may ask for the dominion of the divine fiat over each intelligence.
Thank you, Father. Thank you. Okay, so rounds. Every thought, every word, every act, you can give it that value of the divine life that Jesus created for you. So here she's saying, I reorder all created intelligence. So she's going around and thinking about all the thoughts of creatures, all that negative thoughts, all these good thoughts that were not done, and all these good thoughts that were done but not perfect. And she says, Lord, I claim what you've done for them. I place my I love you on your divinized thought for each creature, so that in each thought I may ask for the dominion of the divine fiat over each intelligence. So this is an example of a round where you take a thought and you do it. So for example, you have one good thought that comes to you, and think with, say, Lord, with my thought now, I'm having like a good thought, for example, to serve someone, or a good thought to pray. Lord, now bless all the thoughts of everybody. I put my I love you over what you've done for everybody. Yeah. And remember last time we looked at an examples of rounds and how we can change our accent to divine will. So let's do some practical stuff and now some practice. Let me pull the one. If you look in the next page, an example how to do prayers in our acts in the divine will. I give you an example. It's just an example because each one of us is unique. So for example, I'm eating. It's here, the second page. Yeah, it's page 2 in the middle of the page. Jesus, I fuse my eating in yours and Mary's. I always add Mary's. I love our Blessed Mother. I always want to do it with her, not alone. In the name of all, to repair for all the sins of eating, gluttony, greed, selfishness, lack of sharing. So do you see, straight away I'm thinking of, now I'm eating, what goes on in eating? Lack of sharing, people go hungry, people are greedy, people are wasteful, people are not considerate of others, people not fasting. All of these thoughts come to me when I mention eating, when I'm about to eating. So I am using the acts of eating as an occasion to make a spontaneous rounds, spontaneous prayer in the divine will. So that's why I'm saying I want to repair. Why? Because Jesus has repaired every act of eating ever. And he created divine lives for every act of eating. So I am claiming, like St. John Eudes says, I'm taking what Jesus did of that redoing and divinization of what is done, and I'm claiming it for every single person. Okay? And this is just an example. Of course, each one of you is unique and could do it in a unique way. So I fuse my eating in yours and Mary's in the name of all to repair for all the sins of eating, gluttony, greed, selfishness, lack of sharing, and to unite the cross of hunger and lack of nourishment in body and soul with your cross. So what am I asking the Lord? I'm trying to make suffering of those who go hungry, I'm uniting it with the cross of Christ so that it becomes a redemptive suffering. it's not wasted. They didn't do it, perhaps. So I'm doing it on their behalf. I'm taking their hunger and I'm saying, Lord, I united with your cross so that it becomes a redemptive suffering for that person. It repairs. Do you see the power of the divine will? How much power you are entrusted with? How many souls in purgatory are suffering because of lack of sharing in their resources, in their wealth, in their food? How many souls out there in purgatory suffering for it? Now you are relieving them, especially those who are suffering for these sins. So that's the first thing I do. Then the next part would be to give thanks. After I took and I offered, and after that, I do the second part, which is going back to Jesus and thanking him for what he's done. Because after that exercise, after this rounds of love, Jesus would have nourished everybody with his graces. He would have given relief to those in purgatory. He would have doubled the glory in saints in heaven. And he would have stored graces for future generation and would have given graces for everybody, the 7-8 billions on earth, living on earth. So I'm going to now go back to Jesus, like the one good Samaritan. He healed 10, only one came back. Except I'm not just going to be that one coming back. I'm going to take those 9 who didn't say thanks with me and the rest of humanity. And I'm going to say thanks on their behalf. So with rounds, learn the 2 ways. First way, ask the Lord for what is done for everybody and take it to everybody, and then go back with your thank you, with your gratitude in the name of everybody. And I love you, Jesus, in the name of everybody. That's just an example. Now, last time I asked 2 people to volunteer to give examples. I'll ask now online first, see if someone, I know Siobhan is quite good. She's been journeying. Siobhan, are you there? Yes, I wonder if she's there. She could give us a nice example. Siobhan? Okay, when she comes. So let's take an example. Who would like to volunteer to give an example of a rounds? Last time, I think Jennifer volunteered and Verity volunteered.
Sam, can you hear me?
Yes, Siobhan,
Sam,
yes.
I'm sorry, I'm not very technical. I've been pressing the phone and I didn't know how to
Okay,
unmute
fine.
myself, and suddenly it's popped up. So
That's
sorry,
brilliant.
I'm so slow.
No, Siobhan has been journeying in
Yes.
the divine world for a while. So for many years, I think.
Oh no, well, not many years, but I knew about it. But I had too many outside influences. So really, only daily, I would say, from 2020. But
That's
yes,
fine.
so but like you, Sam, I knew about it in 2014, I think. But I was dipping in and out because I just didn't have the time with all my commitments to my mother and to Kevin, to my husband, my late husband, to really concentrate on it. But in those years, I picked up quite a bit, in my desire, out of my desire to live in it and to spend more time in it.
Beautiful.
So that's just a little bit about my background. Yes.
Yes, Siobhan will show you, for example, an example of doing around. I think she will pick something so ordinary that we do every day. And what is important with the rounds, it doesn't become a mechanical thing. It's the intensity of love. The more love you pour into it, the more effective the round is. Okay, so it doesn't become mechanical. It doesn't become mechanical. Like, Jesus, you want to do it and I want to do it, you repeat it like this. No, you need to know what you're doing, because it's all in the love and in the intentions. It's all in there. It's all in the heart. It's all in the heart. Okay, over to you, Siobhan. what you're gonna
Okay, maybe it would be good to share a little bit about how confusing this can be initially, and how I also struggled with trying to do the rounds, you know, and I know that it is it's something everybody struggles with, as far as I understand from those that you know, I've been discussing a divine will with. But what it came down to for me was to bring it down to something very, very simple. And then the Lord gives you the graces when you do the very simple thing regularly, every day, as many times as you can remember. What I found with myself, sharing my own experience, is that he expands his graces in your heart, and then you find yourself flowing a little bit more in it. And I think a big stumbling block can be that we try to do too much too soon, and it all becomes a little bit, the enemy can trip us up thinking, oh, I can't remember to say all that. Oh my goodness. And we can let it slip a little bit. So somewhat I and all those to whom I'm speaking, just sharing my own experiences, which I really hope people will find helpful in applying it to make it a little bit like riding a bicycle, you know, to make it, to be able to get on that bike and ride it, is to bring it down to something very simple. So just where I began was something that I love. My tea. My tea is it is my favorite drink. Being Irish, it is my favorite drink.
That's
and you know, my first cup of the tea of the day, you know, sometimes I wake up and I think, oh, can't wait to get a cup of tea. So I started doing a little bit too much, which I'll come on to how that flows later. And I just but struggled with it. So I would not say, you know, do the round with the tea initially. But then by the grace of God, I found, and then I've applied what I'm sharing here to other things, which I'll just share very briefly. So what I say is I come down, I say, Jesus, we're going to make a cup of tea now. You know, I've already done my prevenient act in the divine will. So, and I say, Jesus, thank you for the creation of tea. Father, thank you for the creation of tea. I place my love you. I adore you. I bless you. I treasure you. I console you. And I always add, I console you, because I think what I've understood through this journey is it's very important that we do reparation to the wounded heart of Jesus. We make reparation for ourselves, and we make reparation from all souls, from Adam to the last one, to repair the wounded heart of Jesus. And how we minister that is that we apply everything we can in all the acts we do in the divine will to that repairing. So I always add, I console you, you know, and I requite to the Father, because he is, as we know, so much offended. So this came, you know, you can just start with I love you and I bless you, as you know, in the notes. But what I found was that the deeper I went into it, God would expand that love in my heart and it would start to flow. So I usually say, I love you, I adore you, I treasure you, I console you, you know, and that you can just stop there. And then I make the tea. And then I also extend it to coffee beans. And I always say, thank you for every tea leaf and thank you for every coffee bean that you've created. And then what it would go on to is I would say, Father, I lift up all those who have worked on the tea plantations and the coffee plantations from the beginning to the end. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and I also repair for all the plantation owners who did not treat, you know, that use those souls as slavery. So that's for later, but I'm sharing with how the rounds as an act, you can take it from an act with I love you and I bless you. And if you keep asking for help with it, what I found from my own experience was it flows, and you find, you know, particularly I'm standing there waiting for the tea to brew because I use real tea. And I have to let it brew for 5 minutes. I then start this act of, you know, making the tea into a complete round, and it happens naturally. So I feel that to share, how do you go from I love you and I bless you into a deeper round? I think by just putting everything you do, like Jesus, we're going to do supper now, and I thank you and I bless you for all the food you've created, and I thank you and I bless you for whatever I'm putting into the cooking. Onions, I thank you and I bless you. Potatoes, I thank you and I bless you. And then if you start in a very small way, what it is the faithfulness. I don't really agree with me on this, Sam, but what I found is that it's the faithfulness to doing something very simple regularly and asking Our Lady to help you. And then it's like, you've got Our Lady holding the bike, you've got stablers on it. But eventually, when you start doing the I bless you and I love you every day, like being faithful and attentive, asking the Lord to help you to apply, and I thank you, I bless you and I love you to everything, as you've said, with eating the food. And I also, when I say that, I always say, Father, I prostrate myself before you in great, for the unbelievable ingratitude, including my own, and every soul from Adam to the last one, for not thanking you for all your provisions given us through Jesus. So the Lord will, you don't have to repeat what I've said. What I'm doing here, I hopefully, is that the Lord will give you your own words and your own language, but it'll flow out of your own heart by asking Our Lady and our Lord to help you be more faithful, more consistently, to thinking, like have it in your mind with whatever you're doing, walking down the street, driving the car, cooking, cleaning, getting dressed, washing, brushing your teeth. If you start with very simple things regularly, that's how the Lord will start to help it flow from without you with your own words and your own language. I don't know whether that's helpful.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Siobhan. Well done. That's wonderful. You gave me an idea now. That 2 minutes, or in your case, 5 minutes waiting for the tea to brew, you change it to amazing act of love and act of prayer, thinking of all those. And why stop there? Just expand it. You started on people breaking their back, picking the tea leaves, etc., slave labor, etc. Include every slave labor ever was, ever is, ever will be.
Exactly. I do that. Exactly. Yes. All the factories that are out there at the moment. Yes.
Exactly. Do you see how this simple act of making tea, a cup of tea, has changed the world? Purgatory, heaven.
No limits.
No limit to God's love. He uses every occasion to give, generate these divine lives. That's brilliant. So now we will, that's a beautiful example. Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes. Father has got a word to say. Yes.
Mine is not so much about reflecting on the text of the divine will, because I'm also a learner, but kind of from the theological perspective, some few ideas. Not that I'm a theologian, but some few ideas will come up. When we talk about doing what I'm kind of getting here in terms of doing the rounds, and especially using things of nature, because like preparing tea, and you're thanking God for tea, it brings to mind the question of the sacraments. Karl Rahner talks about the universe in his cosmology, talks about the universe as a sacrament of creation. Well, the sacraments we have 7 sacraments, and all the product, whatever, you just use a simple term, the forms of the matter of some of the sacraments come from the products of nature. For instance, the Eucharist, we get wheat, it's a product of nature. And out of that, we make this host to be transformed into the body of Christ. And so is the wine. Other sacraments, we use oil, and oil comes from olive trees, olive fruits. And you see how nature, how God, these natural things become sacraments to us, and become a visible symbol of God, of a divine reality. And so you find that nature is a sacrament. In a way, it's a sacrament. And we can expand that to any other thing that God has created as a means that reveals God to us. And when you read the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the first paragraphs, I can't remember the exact number, talks about knowing God through nature. And you see that sense of sacramentality, that nature mediates our knowledge of God, mediates our connection with God. And so we can use things of nature to even enter into a deeper relationship with God in terms of prayer, like the example we have been given. Now, the question is how we misuse nature. Because now we are talking about ecology, but it is because of misuse and disrespect for nature. Now, when we use the natural things well, we can make up for that, for the misuse and the ingratitude that humanity has shown to God by the misuse of the natural things, natural resources we have used. And even not only their natural resources, but even through those natural resources, other human beings have misused their fellow human beings and have not shown them the due respect and dignity that they have. How many human beings are made slaves to work in the companies that use natural things, but they are only paid so minimal amount of salary. They're being misused. So there is, this can grow. So this is something that can grow even when you look at the sacramentality of nature, to repair and pray for conversion of people.